view it at a later time. So just a heads up, this is being recorded, okay? So yes, we have Raquel Orozco here with Allen Hancock College. We have Mandy McDonald here, who represents Pioneer Valley High School College and Career Center. I know many of you probably know her already. We have Rosa Martinez, who represents the Early Academic Outreach Program. She's the Associate Director. We have Laura Rojas, who also works with the Early Academic Outreach Program, and her office is in the College and Career Center. We have Annalie Tapia Palacios, and she's with the Santa Barbara Scholarship Foundation. We have Heidi Elenas here, who's one of our counseling interns, but we are also lucky to have her as a data specialist as well. We have, well, Miriana del Toro, and then I'm not sure if Mr. Dickinson is here or not, but he's our assistant principal. He's my boss and Ms. Del Toro's boss and Ms. Elenas' boss. So we're going to go ahead and get started. A lot of people here with a lot of information. You have a wealth of resources here to help you get going through this last year in high school. What you see here is an agenda. This is what we will be covering today. High school graduation requirements versus A through G requirements. We do talk about this a lot throughout high school. Higher education at a glance, we'll be looking at your options after high school. We will also be looking at all of those CSU, the UC, the college admissions testing changes that we have been faced with this school year that are impacting you all. The difference between eligible and competitive, and we'll go into detail about what we mean by that. We'll be talking about, of course, Allen Hancock College. Just like we're talking about universities, we're also going to be talking about Allen Hancock College and what that process will look like. FAFSA, the DREAM Act, financial aid, scholarships, we'll be going into getting you some information about that as well. But we will have a separate event for that also that will go a lot deeper in the details regarding that subject. We will talk about important dates and the different support services too. Okay, next slide, please. Here are some friendly reminders. Mr. Dearborn, who oversees the yearbook, he wanted me to share with you. He said, this is an important tradition at Pioneer Valley that we still continue. We want, we have a yearbook. Very memorable keepsake for the graduating senior. Senior parents should be watching out for his emails with the announcements. He wants you to know that senior baby pictures should be uploaded by October 16th. And senior portraits should be uploaded by November 13th. Yearbooks are on sale for $79. And I know that there's more information about the yearbook and senior photos and things like that on the Pioneer Valley High School website. So that's one of the reminders. Senior letters, you should have received a senior letter last week, along with a couple of other pieces of information, namely like important dates, workshops, with Zoom links attached to them, a copy of your transcript as well. So that was sent out last week. Graduation status letter, of course, that's super important. We want to remind you to update your contact information. So we have the best and most recent way available to contact you regarding any important matters that may come up. Lunch application. If you qualify for free or reduced lunch, that will help you to try to get waivers for things like AP tests, applications, college applications, SAT and ACT exams, okay? Tablet support and the tech hotline, all of that information is on the Pioneer Valley High School website. Mrs. Barnum, who is our principal secretary, she does a really good job of keeping all that information very current on the website. And once again, just reminding you, this presentation is being recorded, and then it will be available on the YouTube channel. PowerPoints will be available on the Pioneer Valley High School website. We will have a separate Spanish presentation on Thursday at 6. I'm going to say that in Spanish in case we have any Spanish-speaking families in here. Esta presentación se dará el jueves a las 6 de la tarde también, por si quieren reunirse con nosotros ese día para escuchar la presentación en español, pero el resto va a ser en inglés. Okay? And next slide, please.
Okay, so we're going to go over the graduation requirements to earn a diploma and the CSUs and UCs A through G. So the graduation requirements, we need 220 credits to earn a diploma, 30 credits for history, which is your modern world history, your US history, and senior year econ and government. Your English, you're going to take 4 years of English. For math, we only need 20 credits and have the equivalent of Algebra 1. So it can be Algebra 1A, B, and then Geometry A, B, or it can be the 2-year series, which is A, B, C, D. So only 20 credits. For lab is the physical science, and there's a biological sciences. Then you need 10 credits of the visual performing arts, career technical education, or a foreign language, so only 1 year, and then 75 elective credits. 5 credits for health, and then physical education is 2 years, so 20 credits. So again, a total of 220 credits to earn a diploma. D is considered passing, so that's how you earn the 5 credits. For the CSUs, UCs, or A through G courses for private sector, well, it's slightly a little different, but it's similar also to the graduation requirements. So for history, you need 2 years, which is the modern world history and the US history. It's recommended 3 years, and that's to become a little bit more competitive. For English, 4 years, same as high school, and recommended, of course, 4 years. For math, they recommend 3, but the requirement is Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. If the student has done Algebra 2 and they want to move forward and they have 1 more year to go, they can take math analysis, stats, or if they're advanced, they can take calculus. For the lab science, it's biology and chemistry. So that's 2 years. And again, recommended for competitive reasons, it can be 3. So they can do physics, AP environmental science, physiology, anatomy, or some other physical or biological science that we offered. For foreign language, the minimum requirement is 2 years. We offer Spanish speakers, Spanish or French, and recommended is 3 years. For the visual performing arts, so it's fine arts, it's 1 year. And then it's also the A through G for the G area, the college prep, it's 1 year. It can be any class or college prep class from any of the above areas. So very important for a student to remain A through G, they have to earn a C- or better. And the exception from spring and summer of 2020, students were able to choose between a letter grade or a credit, no credit. UC and CSUs approved the policy for only this time frame. But for fall 2020, which is this semester, the credit is no longer accepted. So all students will be earning a grade. And one more thing, also for students that want to become competitive for scholarship purposes, they have to earn, or it's recommended to earn a C or higher. Next slide. Okay, so we'll go a little bit over more what's eligible and versus the competitive. So the eligible for the CSUs and UCs is a minimum of the A through G completion, which is the slide that we just covered. The minimum GPA, they will go over later on the slides with the GPA or minimum GPA that's for CSUs and UCs. So wait for that information. And then easy 12th grade schedule with few A through G courses. So again, it's like the minimum. Few extracurricular or community activities, which means students, their encouraged to take and participate more in extracurricular activities such as joining clubs, volunteer work, or actually employment, and to become more competitive. And that's if a student wants to have a higher opportunity to get admitted to their first choice of the campus, then they have to do more than the minimum. So taking the A through G courses beyond the minimum, which means taking honors courses, AP courses, concurrent Allen Hancock courses, College Now, which is Allen Hancock College. They're courses that they can take at Allen Hancock College, so it actually takes place at the college. A higher GPA, which means it's more than the minimum. If the minimum is a 2.5 for CSUs, then they're going to have a 2.8 or a 3.0 or higher than that. Competitive 12th grade schedule with A through G courses. So a lot of our seniors, we highly encourage that they continue to be enrolled in 6 classes to be competitive, but if they have less than that, then they're just doing the minimum. Several recurring extracurricular or community activities. So again, this will be volunteer work, jobs, clubs, and right now we understand, you know, our campuses are closed, but a lot of our students, they're helping at home with caregiving for their younger siblings. That actually will count as extracurricular activity. A lot of our students are also like working, and it's a paid, it can be paid internship or a paid job. That will be building up your community resources or resume as well. Next slide.
Okay, so this information, we just covered it a little bit. Ms. Del Toro just shared it with us, and I think we're missing part of this slide here. There we go. Okay, so we have, you know, students, it's really hard to get those extracurricular activities in. Hopefully you've started by now. You should have started by now. If you're trying to be eligible for, especially for scholarships, and to be able to be more competitive for universities and, like I said, scholarships, but sports count. Also, a lot of our students are involved in art, music, drama, dance. A lot of times there's things that our students are participating outside of school that we just don't know about. And this is that time to showcase all of this information by listing it like on a brag sheet, to be able to have it nicely packaged in one place for when students are ready to apply for colleges and scholarships. College visits count as well. It counts as exploration. Also through our English classes, our students participated in a program called Career Cruising, where they were able to explore their interests, and their interests were matched with potential careers, okay? There's also, a lot of students have been thinking, what could I have done, you know, for the spring? Is that going to be held against me? And like Ms. Del Toro explained, you know, since the closure, our kids have taken on a lot of responsibilities. I have a lot of kids that have actually started working and helping their siblings, you know, pretty much being a primary caretaker for the home. All of that counts, so please don't discount any of that. Everything counts. Okay, next slide, please. And this is Miss Orozco.
Hi, okay, so for Allen Hancock College, as many of you are hopefully aware, Hancock offers the Promise Grant, which allows all incoming freshmen or all incoming first-time college students to attend their first year at our community college tuition-free. There are a few steps that need to be completed in order for the student to receive the Promise Grant. And the first step is to complete the online admissions application, which is already open. We will be having students fill out, or encouraging students to fill out the online application starting October 1st, or the first week of October. It is a two-step process, so for many of you students who are currently in concurrent enrollment or College Now classes, you will need to complete a new application. So even though you have already applied to Hancock, because you're currently taking classes here at Hancock or have in the past, you will need to complete a new application as a first-time college student, which will allow you to register for all classes and not be restricted. Step number 2 is completing the FAFSA or DREAM Act application. I know many students sometimes say, oh, I don't qualify, but it is one of the steps that need to be completed, because it will, it is one of the required steps for you to receive the Promise Grant. Then it's an online application, an online orientation that you need to complete, and that you will be able to complete once you gain access to your portal. So in order for you to be able to complete the orientation, you do need to complete the application. Step number 4 is to attend a launch event, because we're looking at virtual appointments, or for this launch event to be virtual. Step number 4 is where you do speak with a Hancock counselor to discuss your first semester classes. So that's where a counselor here at Hancock kind of goes over the classes that you will be taking that will get you to your degree or to the 4-year university that you want to transfer to. The 5th step would be registration. That's going to be on April 28th. So registration for Hancock, registering for your summer or fall classes, will be on April 28th of 2020. If you want to write that down, I will be giving more detailed information later next month. And then step number 6 would be where within your first year, you complete a comprehensive education plan. So that's where a counselor goes, Hancock counselor goes over all of the classes that you will be needing to take in order for you to reach your end goal. Next. So some of the reasons some of the many students attend Hancock is to earn a certificate. So that's more of a trade, similar to trade school, where you just focus on the classes you want to take to get a certificate degree. Students could also earn an associate's degree here, and then take general classes and transfer to a 4-year. So we do have a GATE program, which is a guarantee acceptance to a 4-year university once you meet all the general requirements here at Hancock.
Great. So hi, my name is Anali Tapia Palacios. I am one of the program advisors for the Scholarship Foundation of Santa Barbara, and I want to talk to you a little bit about financial aid. So there are 4 different sources of financial aid. The first option is federal aid, so anything considered federal Pell Grant, work study, federal loans. A second option would be state aid, so Cal Grants, middle class scholarships, the Chafee Grant, and others. The college institutional aid, and this is going to vary from school to school. So I know Ms. Orozco just mentioned the Promise. That's an option for institutional aid. Outside agency, which is something like the Scholarship Foundation, right? So we provide you scholarships if you apply to us. And the reason we're talking about this is because this is going to be fast approaching in October. October is a big month for financial aid. So if you are planning to attend and continue your education, this is going to be a big topic for you to discuss. I know that there's going to be a meeting coming on September 30th at 6 p.m. where we're going to dive a little deeper into the world of financial aid. But right now, we kind of just want to cover the bases and get some basic information out there so you kind of get that on top of your head. Next. So as I mentioned, those 4 sources of financial aid, in order to be eligible for those, you do need to apply to either one of these applications. You can either apply to FAFSA, so this is the free application for student aid, and this is eligible or open to students that are U.S. citizens, permanent residents, or visa holders. The available date is October 1st, so that's fast approaching, and we have a priority deadline of March 2nd. If you're not a U.S. citizen, permanent resident, or a visa holder, you should be eligible for the AB 540 application, which is called the California DREAM Act application. And like I said, if you are AB 540 eligible or a DACA student, you are eligible to apply to this application. Similar to FAFSA, it opens October 1st with a priority deadline of March 2nd, and you can see that the two sites are provided below. Again, on September 30th, we highly encourage you to join us because we'll be diving a little deeper into that information and explaining what those applications are all about. And I want everyone to know that just because you apply to these applications, it doesn't mean that you're guaranteed, one, financial aid, and two, the money isn't coming from these applications, right? They're coming from the 4 sources that I mentioned before. So federal, state, institutional, or outside agencies. So I don't want you all to get confused. This is just, you apply to these applications so you can be eligible for some aid. Next, please. And although I don't look like these two lovely people in our pictures here, I am just one of the program advisors at the foundation. There are 4 of us in total. Normally, Jose or Lily would have been here to talk to you all, but unfortunately they weren't able to make it. But just so you know, as program advisors, we not only help you complete FAFSA and the California DREAM Act or anything related to financial aid, we will also help you complete our application, so the Scholarship Foundation application. And again, on September 30th, we'll go more into that that application per se. But you apply to us, our application opens October 15th and closes January 15th. Like I mentioned, October is going to be a big month for you all if you're looking into the world of financial aid. So there's going to be some important dates, and that's why we need a whole presentation dedicated to financial aid so we can really dive out. And if you please go to the next slide, I'll dive into a little bit more of what our requirements are for our application. So in order to be considered for one of our scholarships, you have to meet these 4 requirements. First, we ask that you attend at least 4 years in a Santa Barbara County school between the grades of 7th through 12th grade. So not all 4 years need to be completed in high school. They can be spread out to 7th or 8th grade. Secondly, you should have graduated from a Santa Barbara County high school by June of that current academic year. So graduate by June and you're good to go. Third, you should be planning to attend school full-time at an undergraduate, vocational, or graduate school. So this is a reminder that we don't only fund you for 1 year, right? We encourage you to continue reapplying to us. Even if if you finish your 4 years at a university, great, and you want to go to grad school, reapply because there's funding for all those years. So we try to do the 2 and resident or AB 540 eligible. And again, on that September 30th presentation, we hope to provide you with more explanation as to what AB 540 means. You know, what if I'm not a US citizen or a permanent resident? How can we help in that aspect? And just to ease your mind a little bit, for those of you that don't have a social security number, actually don't ask a question that way. I think that might be the last slide.
Okay, so I think it's my turn. So hi, everybody. I'm Mrs. McDonald from the College and Career Center, and I wanted to talk with you briefly a little bit about our scholarships. On the PVHS website listed under the Career Center, we will have scholarships listed there for our senior students. We will have both our local scholarships and our national scholarships. Some of the more commonly known larger national scholarships, for example, like the Coca-Cola, the Dell, the Wendy's Heisman Scholarship, some of those more larger ones that you are probably already familiar with. So please be sure to check the PVHS website. Currently, we do not have any of our local scholarships available at this time. However, that will be changing within the next few weeks. So please make sure that you continue to check that PV website for any updated scholarship information. Currently, there are resources listed for students for those national scholarship database search engines that you can use. You will find some listed, for example, like scholarships.com or I believe it's FastWeb as well. So please look for those. One of the largest local community-based scholarships that we have, again, that you just heard about, is the Scholarship Foundation of Santa Barbara. I'm hopeful that our students will be applying to the scholarship. In fact, most of our students are in fact eligible for it. So I definitely encourage you all to apply to scholarships. And just be mindful that there is no limit to the number of scholarships that you can apply for. There's no limit on the amount of money that students can earn. So please continue to look for those scholarships and apply, regardless of what your plans are after high school. As long as you are planning to continue your education, definitely you should be applying to scholarships. I'm trying to think what else. And again, the Scholarship Foundation of Santa Barbara, that one is going to open up on October 15th, and that one will be listed on our PV website as well.
Okay, so these are the different programs, student college prep programs at PV High School. We have AVENT, which is Advanced via Individual Determination program. This is a first generation college-bound students. It prepares students for college readiness, and it increases the opportunity to attend a university right after high school. Also, some of the skills that the students learn in this class is areas of writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading. The CALSOP is the California Student Opportunity Access Program. This is a post-secondary program, helps with also financial aid, and connect you with Allen College. This program also, they help with Cash for College events, with completing your financial aid, either the FAFSA or the DREAM Act. They also provide tutoring support, and these tutors are placed in classrooms where of the highest need. EAOP is Early Academic Opportunity Program. This is a program from UCSB. And what they assist our students is with UC, CSU applications, their essay questions, feedback and review, the common application for private universities, the entrance exam preps, financial aid, academic planning, and career services. Then we have Talent Search. This is a free federal program that helps also low income students, first generation. They can admit up to 500 students. And if students are interested in either the Talent Search or Upper Bound, they go directly to the Cal Poly website, or also they can find this information on our College and Career website, so they can apply. And they help also with college applications, with financial aid. Upper Bound usually meets our students right now virtually Tuesdays, Thursdays. So Tuesdays 3:30 to 5:30, and Thursdays 2:30 to 3:30. They also have tutoring Monday and Wednesdays from 4 to 6. They can drop in, so it's a drop-in style. And they have different type of or various workshops that they held throughout the semester. So again, if a student is interested, they can apply directly to the programs through the Cal Poly website, or they can also find it in the College and Career Center. Next slide. So for high school transcripts, when students begin applying for scholarships or colleges, you need to have a copy of your high school transcript ready for the applying. So you can obtain that with your counselor, or you can also bring it up through your ARIES. It looks usually a little kind of awkward on your ARIES account, so just make sure that you reach out to your counselor so you can request a transcript as soon as possible. So that way it's easier to apply to your colleges and scholarships. And then make sure that you're double checking that your personal information is correct and up to date. If it's not, make sure that you let your counselor know, so then that way we can distribute that information to the appropriate person and they can update your information, because this is the way that we send all calls, emails, the way that we connect with you. Next slide.
Okay, so yes, I agree. Those transcripts can look a little, they're harder to read if you just look on your ARIES account, but if you contact us, we can always send you a PDF version of it, which is much easier to read and to navigate. So now we are on this slide. Everybody is here. You're working on your high school diploma, and many students are wondering, what are my options after? And this is where we begin to get into a little more detail about that. There's basically 4 different pathways that you can follow. The first one is a trade school, where you can go and get specialized training in a vocation. You know, these programs, they vary in length, but they are very focused. So like, let's say you want to learn how to become a mechanic. You go to school to learn specifically about becoming a mechanic. You won't be studying subjects like history or English or anything like that. You'll be learning you'll be in classes that pertain to your career, your chosen career. Another option is community college, and students go there often to get an associate's degree, or sometimes they also choose to transfer to, a lot of times actually, they choose to transfer to a university. Now there is some degree of, certificate training and vocational training at community colleges as well. So to be eligible for a community college, all you have to do is be 18 or have a high school diploma. Same thing for trade schools. Next one on there is the next option is CSU, and these are university systems. So the California State University system, which is a public system. Also the University of California, it's also a public system. And then we have our private and our out-of-state schools. At these types of institutions, you can get a bachelor's degree, master's degree, and doctorate and professional degrees. So that's the third option that we have there. And we'll go into a little bit more detail about what the requirements are for those on the next one. But the last option that students sometimes pick is going straight into the workforce or the military. So these are generally your 4 different options after high school. It's a good idea, if you don't know what to do, contact your counselor, contact Miss McDonald. Oftentimes she knows a lot of people in the community that have different professions, and she might be able to give you some insight. And then also definitely go into your Zello account and your career cruising account, where you can research different careers. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so here we go into more detailed information regarding the 4 systems of higher education. The first one there being the community college, which Ms. Orozco did go into some detail about. And before I forget, we do plan on having an event regarding just Allen Hancock College, where you will get more information on those different steps that she outlined, and we will have a workshop like that. That date has not been set yet. But once again, you have to be a high school graduate or be 18 years of age or older. And the types of programs that they offer are vocational training, like I mentioned before, and they help prepare you to transfer to universities. It's really important that you have an idea about where you want to transfer to, just to make sure you're meeting those requirements, the eligibility requirements to transfer from a community college. Earlier when we spoke about the A through G requirements and being eligible for a university, that doesn't apply to Hancock College or a community college at all, although we do advise that students do their best to be on that A through G path. so that you have options. You know, we want you to have the option of applying to a CSU, a UC, or a private school. And then of course you can always go to Hancock as well. That's a perfectly fine choice, especially these days. It might feel, you know, a little safer in a way, but we do want you to have your options, okay? The next option that we have here is the CSU system, the California State University system. That's one of our public university institutions. To be able to be eligible for a CSU, you have to meet those A through G requirements that we talked about earlier. Now that goes for the UC or the CSU. And even for our private schools, generally they'll take those A through G requirements. If you've met those requirements, you're generally speaking okay for the private colleges, but it's a good idea to get in contact with your private college to find out specifically what their requirements are, because they might vary a little bit from one institution to another, but generally speaking, most are okay with those A through Gs. Try to have your options open. That's the main thing we want you to understand, is that we want you to have options. So for that CSU, you have to have at least a 2.5. That's the minimum requirement. I'm not going to say that that's exactly competitive, but it is the minimum requirement. So you want to make sure you apply to the CSU and apply broadly. Maybe pick your top choice, and then maybe pick a university that might be easier to get into if you have your heart set on going to university. And definitely the most important thing when picking a university is that they have the major that you are interested in, okay? But apply broadly if possible, especially if you qualify for application fee waivers, okay? You wanna take the essay, well actually, I take that back. This is one of those changes that happened. It's temporarily suspended for our students. They don't have to take the SAT or the ACT, okay? And once again, the CSU system does offer bachelor's, master's, doctorate degrees as well, okay? For the UC system, again, those A through Gs are required. Now, to get into a UC, it is a little bit more challenging in that your minimum GPA has to be at least a 3.0, and they're looking at an academic GPA. So they factor out things like non-college prep classes, and this goes for the CSU as well. They're looking at the academic GPA, okay? SATs and ACTs, those are optional for our students at this point. Part of the application process with a UC that doesn't exist for a CSU is that you have to write, it used to be called the personal statement, but now they are called personal insight questions, and there's several of them. It's just an opportunity for a student to kind of showcase who they are, to tell universities who they are, and tell them a bit about them. Give them information that they might not be able to gather, that they won't be able to gather just by looking at a transcript or a resume. They want to know more about the student as a person, as a whole person. So that's an opportunity for students to shine when they write those personal insight questions. They also look at extracurricular activities as well. We will be having workshops, by the way, to help students fill out all these different applications that we're talking about, including helping them with those personal insight questions, which can be a little nerve-wracking for kids, okay? At the UC, they offer bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, doctorate degrees, and professional degrees. And private colleges, they offer the same types of degrees. Once again, those A through Gs, we want to, generally speaking, they're okay, but each student wants to research their particular private school, because there's no way for us to know the requirements for each private college. So it's important that students look into that prior to applying to make sure that they've met the requirements. Most will require the SAT or ACT. However, there are some that have started to say that they're suspending this requirement. So yet another reason for students to research what the application requirements are, because they're all so different. Most do require a personal statement of sorts, which is similar to the personal insight questions that I just mentioned. And most will require extracurricular activities also that they will ask for in detail on applications, just like the UC. Okay, next slide, please.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Laura Rojas, the No EAOP College Site Coordinator at Pioneer Valley. So I'll be talking a little bit more about those policy changes for the UC and CSU admissions requirements. So one of those is for the A through G. So the original policy states that students must earn a C or better in their A through G approved courses. However, due to COVID-19, there were some changes for the CSU, UC, and some private universities. So that includes a suspension of the letter grade requirement for A through G courses taken during winter, spring, and summer 2020. So some high schools gave their students the option to receive a letter grade or a pass, no pass, or credit, no credit. So those students that opted out for a pass, no pass, or credit, no credit, they will receive credit for those A through G courses, but those courses will not be factored or calculated into their GPA or into their CSU UC GPA. So that is one of the differences. Next slide, please. Okay, so for the GPA, so this is another policy change, but this one's specifically for the CSU system GPA requirement. So again, the original policy is for the CSU is a 2.0 minimum GPA. That requirement changed to a 2.5, as Nadia mentioned above. So this is for California residents. So those students with a 2.0 to 2.49 GPA, so they may still apply. They will be evaluated, for admission based on supplemental factors. So that means they will take into consideration, the number of extra A through G courses you've taken, household income, extracurricular involvement, if you're a first generation student, any work experience or other educational programs that you may have been involved with. So as of right now, this change is only for the class of 2021. So it's for current seniors only. If there are any changes in the future that will impact any other grade level, we will keep those students and parents updated as well. And just as a reminder, this GPA policy change is only for the CSU system. The UC will remain at a 3.0 minimum GPA requirement. Next slide, please. Okay, so for SATs, so this is another change due to COVID-19. So the original policy states that students must take the SAT or ACT to be eligible to apply to a CSU, UC, or private university. So for the CSU, the policy change was that they temporarily suspended the SAT or ACT exams in determining admission eligibility for fall 2021, winter 2022, and spring 2022 admission cycles. And for the CSU, they are test optional for fall 2021 and fall 2022. So this means that freshman applicants are not required to submit SAT or ACT test scores. And the test optional just means that you choose whether or not you want to submit those scores with your application. And if you are unable or choose not to submit those test scores, your application will still receive a full consideration. And for private universities, again, like Nadia said, it's important that you check with each individual private university that you plan to attend, because their policies do differ. So some private universities may require SAT or ACT test scores. So it's just very important for you to go ahead and check if the university you are interested in requires that. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is a quick checklist in preparing you for the application process. So these are all items that can help you apply or enter your information into the CSU, UC, or private universities. So the first step is to request and review your transcripts. So again, make sure you check with your counselors if you don't have access to your transcript, and they can get that for you. Research colleges and create a list. So it's important to make sure to research which colleges have your major and which colleges you want to attend to. Research scholarships and create a list. Again, Ms. McDonald's is a great resource for that. And complete a brag sheet. So it is in your senior timeline on Canvas. So this is just a sheet that has more information about yourself and can be given to people you're asking for letters of recommendation for. And it also includes an awards and activities section, similar to the UC application. So it's just an easier way to have all your information together to apply to the CSU or UC. Next slide, please. Okay, so applying to a California State University. So there are 23 campuses, CSU campuses in California. So the CSU application opens up October 1st and the application deadline is December 4th. To apply and access the CSU application, you go to www.calstate.edu/apply. You will be completing one application for all campuses that you select and want to apply to. So please note for this application, you will not need any personal insight questions, letters of recommendation, or any application essay. Each CSU application is $70. However, students are able to apply for fee waivers. So students will know if they are qualified for a fee waiver when they apply to the, when they submit their application, I'm sorry. So if you are granted that fee waiver, you will have the opportunity to apply to 4 CSU campuses for free. Next slide, please. Okay, so for the CSU, for the UCs, they are research institutions. So there are 9 UC systems, undergraduate campuses to choose from and they offer bachelor's, master's, doctor and professional degrees. So this application is already opened. It opened up August 1st. So you are actually able to go in and start entering all your information. But it is important to note that the date to actually submit the application is November 1st, and the deadline for the application deadline, is November 30th. So you have between November 1st to November 30th to submit the UC application. But it is open now, and we are hosting UC workshops this month, so Mondays and Thursdays. So Mondays is from 1 to 3, and Thursdays is from 2:10 to about 3:30. So starting October 5th, we will be focusing, we will be doing alternating weeks with CSU and UC, but the dates remain the same. So you can email me for the Zoom link. I'll make sure to have my email in the chat as well. So for the UC application, it is also $70. But students are also able to apply for a fee waiver. And again, this fee waiver, you will know if you are granted it when you submit your application. And if you are granted the fee waiver, you are able to apply to 4 campuses for free as well. And again, this application also is, you complete one application for the campuses that you want to apply to. This application does require students to complete 4 out of 8 personal insight questions. So I'll explain that a little bit further in the next slide. Okay, so UC personal insight questions. So the purpose of the UC personal insight questions is to get to know your personality, background, interests, and achievements in your own unique voice. So applicants must answer 4 out of the 8 questions. Each response is limited to a maximum of 350 words. And it's important to note that all questions have equal value. So no matter which one you choose, they are all evaluated the same way. A few pointers to keep in mind when writing your PIQ: make sure to show, don't tell. So you want to make sure you're providing important details, giving context and examples. Make sure that you do not provide new information that has not been, or you only give new information that has not been stated in the application already. So the personal insight questions are not essays, so you do not need to do an introduction, a body, or conclusion. You can get, right to the point. Together, these 4 questions should form a complete picture of you. So this is your time to demonstrate that you're a well-rounded, unique individual who can make a positive contribution to the UC system. Next slide, please. Okay, and for private institutions, So it's important that you begin your research for your private institutions. You have to consider the following, right? So it's some private institutions have specific requirements. So that can include some private institutions require or are have a religious affiliation that may or may not that you may or may not need to practice. And some private institutions will require students to complete the Common App, the Universal application, or the campus admission application. So again, it is important to check on the specific private institution that you plan to apply for and check what their admission requirement is. So regarding the entrance exam, some institutions will be test optional, but some will require the SAT or ACT exam. So this is why we ask you guys to go to the specific website to find out whether or not they're requiring the SAT. So these private institutions offer bachelor's, master's, doctorate, and professional degrees. And for the ones that you do need to complete the Common App for, it is important to make sure that you submit all sections of the application, and don't forget to complete the supplemental questions. So they're similar to the PIQs, but they're not the same questions. So just make sure, again, you're checking those private institutions to see what their admission requirements are. Next slide, please.
Okay, so this is the student services program that we have on campus. So we have the 12 grade counselors, Nadia Ventura, that's her email, and then myself, Miriana del Toro, there's my email. We focus on personal, social, emotional, academic, and career planning with our students. With the College and Career Center, with Mrs. McDonald. Her contact information is on the slide, and she offers, besides the scholarship information, she helps with Hancock Concurrent, College Now applications, Zello, which is Career Exploration, or before it was Career Cruising, employment search, the brag sheet, and that's to prepare you if you are requesting a lot of recommendation from teachers, counselors, or a supervisor from work, academic resume, interviews, and work permits. With Laura Rojas, she is our EAOP representative from UCSB, so from the Early Academic Opportunity Program. She helps students and provides workshops for UC, CSUs, also private universities with the Common Application. Also the essay questions that are involved on the UC application, and she helps with feedback and review. She does workshops for the entrance exit exams, which is the SAT, ACTs, financial aid, academic planning, and career services. For Allen Hancock College, our representative is Raquel Orozco. She helps with anything that has to do with Allen Hancock College, concurrent College Now applications. She also assists us with in-class presentations or virtual presentations and financial aid. And as of now, we don't know yet when is her pending drop-in days, but there's her contact information if you need to get a hold of her. For other student services, Angela Collins, she's our crisis specialist. So she provides support groups to provide to our students like educational or awareness. So she carries or has different type of support groups. And if you're interested in knowing a little bit more of what type of support groups she holds, then you can email her directly. Araceli Mandujano, she's our community liaison, support for students and families, and some of the services that she provides is she assists with the lunch application, internet hotspots, and community resources. So she helps with connecting our families and our students to other resources outside as well if we don't provide a particular service. Raul Reyes, he's fighting back specialist, and he assists us with students or works with students with foster, homeless, and other resources. And Annie Steger, she's our tech TOSA. So she assists our students with troubleshooting with tablets or anything that has to do with the tablets, as well if students are having issues with how to navigate certain like Canvas. She's the person that you can contact, but if she's not able to get a hold of you, you always want to reach out to your counselors. Next slide.
Hello again. I am so sorry. That's my cat. Okay, so I am looking at the important dates right here. It's a good idea to, you could probably take a picture of this page right here, but we have also posted the information on the students' Canvas account. We mailed these dates home to students in the graduation status letters last week, and we will be sending, reminders via Parent Square. We will be sending students emails. We will be posting in Canvas regarding different deadlines and dates that are coming up. We have Senior Financial Aid Information Night coming up next week, and we do have a date on here. The FAFSA filing period begins on October 1st. I'm not going to go over in detail each and every one of these dates, but they will be posted in Canvas. You will be reminded on Parent Square of events like our Cash for College events. We definitely want to make sure that you do your best to participate in those virtual events, because we will be having the experts there to help fill out those financial aid applications. And we also included in the mailer last week, it says at the top, for a detailed listing of college admissions applications and financial aid workshops, please refer to the EAOP Senior Fall 2020 events flyer. And like I said, it's also posted. There were a lot of dates on there, and you probably wouldn't have been able to read this if we put it all on here, but those are available to students as well. And let's see here, I'm trying to see if there's any more big ones coming up on the list here. The Allen Hancock College Information Night, we are going to be planning that as well. Okay, so just keep an eye out for these different dates. Oh, and then also the school website, like I said, it is an excellent resource for all the different dates. Ms. Barnum does a really good job of keeping the calendar updated. Okay, all right, next slide, please. Oh my goodness, we're at the end already. Okay, so this is, I think we've got quite a few questions here in the chat, and Mrs. Martinez has been filtering through those to try to find themes in some of the questions that were posed, and we are going to go through and answer some of those questions. And if for some reason, your question doesn't get answered, or you have another question that pops up later, please don't hesitate to reach out and email us. We will get back to you as soon as we can. We're always filtering through emails, so we're here to help and we're here to support you. So Ms. Martinez, go for it.
All right, thank you all, and thank you all for your questions. I'm going to start from the top. Even though some of these questions we've been answering, I know Heidi also answered some of these questions, but for the benefit of anyone that came in later in the meeting, I'll go ahead and ask them. One of the first questions we had was, when were the baby pictures due? It's really important as us parents that have kids in school. When do we need to get those baby pictures in? And when are the senior portraits due?
Okay, let me find that. I have that email that Mr. Dearborn did send that. Let's see here.
Someone did place that information in the chat, so I just want to confirm that the baby pictures are due October 16th.
Yes.
Senior pictures are due November
13th.
13th to Mr. Dearborn.
Yes.
His email was put in the chat, but I will go ahead and put that right now.
And then all that information is on the website as well.
Thank you. Yeah, for those of you that asked if the senior portraits could be turned in at a later date, please contact Mr. Dearborn directly.
Correct.
He is the man in charge. Someone asked if the students could use the transcripts that were mailed out to them in the senior letter as for them to review.
Can you repeat that, please?
When we were speaking about transcripts, someone did mention the transcripts were sent home with the senior letter. So we indicated that they were able to use those to review the information and to start their college application.
Perfect.
There was a specific question about since SAT, ACT scores are put in the transcripts, could the student opt to have those scores removed?
Miss Elenis, would you be able to answer that question? I'm so glad you're here.
Normally, we don't have students request to remove it. Normally, when a student gets a low score, they simply retake the test, and then the higher score will also show in addition to the lower score. But if a student really did want to have the score removed, we can go ahead and remove the score.
And I did add in the chat that once again, if the student reports the low score, the score within the transcript will not impact the admission process, the application process of a student to either the UC or the CSU. So that will not be factored in. And as with the new policies, those tests for the CSU will not be counted in the admissions process. And for UC, they're optional. But there is a no harm policy. If the student does not take it, perfect. The student is not harmed by not taking the test. We had to also clarify on the suspension of the letter grades that they were only for the winter, spring, and summer quarter terms. So if the students opted for a pass, no pass, a credit, no credit in the spring semester, and then took a summer class and did the same, if they received the grade of pass or credit, they're fine. They're still meeting the requirements. But if they received a grade of no pass, no credit, this in an A through G course, then that's where they're really gonna be talking to Ms. Ventura and Ms. Del Toro about making up that A through G class. Let me see, there's also a question about when students typically receive their acceptance letters from colleges and universities. The answer for that we put in the chat was that for some CSU campuses, the students will know it in a matter of weeks, which is really awesome. But for other more competitive Cal State campuses, CSUs, and then for UCs, students do have to wait all the way through March, but everyone should have, at least from the public universities in California, should know their status by March 31st. There is a question, is Raquel still here? Yes, okay. There's a question about completing the application for Hancock. And I believe the question is if the student already took a course at Allen Hancock, so if they did concurrent enrollment, do they have to create a whole new account if they're intending to continue their education at Hancock post Pioneer Valley High School? Ms. Orozco, you there?
Yes, sorry. I was trying to unmute myself. Sorry, what was the question again?
So I believe the question was, if a student already took a concurrent enrollment course during high school, do they need to complete a new application or a new account for Hancock if that's where they want to matriculate post Pioneer Valley High School?
Yes, that's a really great question. All students who will be attending Hancock for the first time after graduating high school will need to complete a new Hancock application as a first-time college student. So every student right now who has or is in a College Now or concurrent enrollment class has limited access to which classes they could register for. So they do need to reapply for the fall or summer of 2021 as a first-time college student. I will be sending out, or we will hopefully be sending out a video on how you could just log into your CCC Apply account and then just update your application that way.
Great, thank you, Ms. Orozco. Learn something new every day. I appreciate that. Another question we had was if the senior, if the grades they received senior year counted. And the response we gave over the chat was that yes, all basically the senior year counts. Yes, for the grades that they do get, it's important that they finish out the year strong. But also remember their senior years is also to finish completing those A through G requirements. For some of those requirements, like English, which is 4 years, the senior year is the 4th year for most of the students applying. So it's important that they finish out the year strong with passing all courses with a letter grade of C or better. And just with that, also students will need to submit a final transcript in July of 2021 with all final grades. And some CSU campuses will also expect students to submit a mid-year transcript. So students also need to be prepared for that. And those are only some campuses, is not the whole system. And I believe that that is the last of the questions I see in chat. So I don't know if Ms. Del Toro, Ms. Ventura want to open it up for more questions. Thank you.
Yes, so if you have more questions, you can go ahead and type them in, or if you'd rather call us or talk to, I know for our seniors, we recently sent out an email actually just yesterday giving students our Google number where we are able to receive text messages as well during school hours on school days, or they can email us. Sometimes students are shy and they don't want to type in the chat, but we're definitely here to support you. If by chance you happen to call us in the office, we will still get the voicemail. But with the Google number, of course, it's just like a cell phone number. You can always reach us right away. As long as we're available, we're in a lot of Zooms and meetings oftentimes. So feel free to ask us questions, or we can arrange to meet with you via Zoom or a phone call as well. I don't see any more questions coming in. Yeah, I think Ms. Martinez, you went ahead and clarified some of those questions on there. There was a question regarding the SAT and the ACT, if it was required, and I think I couldn't see the answer, but I think you did answer. Yeah, it is there. Okay. Okay, well, we will be presenting in classes as well via, of course, virtually. We're going to be coordinating with English, government, econ teachers to try to deliver the same information to students, and it's really important that you do your best to join the Zooms and participate so we can get as much information out to as many of you all as once, because it is really time consuming to go over it one-on-one with students. But we really appreciate you being here. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. Okay. Oh, wait, I think I see 2 more messages. You see those? Or are those old?
I just included the calendar of services, the link.
Okay, perfect.
I just included the link for the calendar of services. So they have access to the Zoom link as well through there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I think that about wraps it up. Thank you all for participating.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close it out if we don't have anything else. All righty, bye everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.